And so we ended up walking in. At first, security was like, no, you can't go up. What are you talking about? And so then I sang a couple anthems for them. They were like, oh, okay.
Not related to the drink or the pants. It is Capri. Welcome.
I love that intro. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Arcade just hit top 20 on the Billboard dance chart. And I have to ask, have you done anything yet to celebrate?
I actually went to an arcade on Saturday
Perfect.
with a whole bunch of friends, and it was a lot of fun. So that was kind of my celebration.
I actually saw that TikTok, and I actually saw another TikTok where you got your brother to genuinely react to the first listen of Arcade. And I've got a brother as well. So I was just wondering, what did you have to do to make him do that for you?
Well, my brother, he is so naturally funny. He's way funnier than me. I'm kind of jealous of him for it, to be honest. And I kind of just asked him, and he actually was willing to do it, which surprised me because I didn't think he really wanted to be on TikTok like that. But I'm grateful he did it.
It looked like he was really into it.
I was like, listen, I have this idea. If you're willing to do it, he was like, oh, we're making fun of people? Okay, great.
Now, when I go to an arcade, I'm a little old school. I like to play the classic arcade games like Pac-Man. So let's say this, Capri, you and me playing Pac-Man, highest score wins. Are you taking me down or not?
You might take me down on that one. You might take me down. But Dance Dance Revolution, I probably got you beat.
Yeah, you'll kick my ass on Dance Dance Revolution, that's for sure.
I wouldn't even get on the machine.
No, you wouldn't. Okay, so the arcade games you're talking about might be a little bit more like that.
Yeah. I tend to not be the best at the other ones, to be honest. Like it has to include some sort of like driving or the air hockey one. Love that one too. I'm not so good at the subtle little movements in those games. I was never really a gamer growing up, so that's probably why I'm not too talented in that department, not too practiced.
If you and me were facing off wearing heels all day, because I just saw your new TikTok of your new heels, who would be winning then?
Okay, so my best friend has me going to these heels dance classes, and we go once a week now. It's like our little thing that we do. And I got to tell you, about 6 months ago, if you'd asked me to like even walk down the street in heels, probably would have fallen, probably would have, really embarrassed myself. But lately I've been doing pretty good, and I credit it 100% to the heels classes. I no longer fall in class anymore, so I think there must be some improvement.
I love that. You got to know how to walk in heels. Like it's a must.
Yeah.
All right. I guess I'll get to work on that then.
There's some dudes in the classes that are absolutely killing it, you know?
Sure,
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe,
New
right?
talent of yours.
We'll see. I have a very busy schedule. Now, you've had a very busy schedule musically for a long time, Capri, because something about you is that you own the Guinness World Record for the most national anthems sung in its host country in 1 year. Grand total 76, and you ended up doing 80 anthems total. So the idea there was pretty cool. Have you thought at all about, now that you're a little bit more seasoned as a singer and a performer, trying to break any more records?
I think that, the way that whole Around the World in 80 Anthems thing happened, just for a little bit of backstory, is we actually did go to the whole point. It was called Around the World in 80 Anthems. And we went to 80 countries, sang 80 national anthems. The reason why the record is only for 76 is because they discounted 4 of the countries because they were constituent countries. So they didn't count Wales, they didn't count the Cayman Islands. Even though I did sing those national anthems, they just didn't count them as like official countries. So it was 80, the idea was 80 anthems in 80 countries, and the whole purpose of it was to raise money for this charity called SOS Children's Villages, which gives homes to orphan and abandoned kids. So we actually ended up staying in these orphanages in most of the countries that we went to, and I would sing with the kids. I would get to know them. I was 11 at the time, so I would, go off and make friends with the kids, and we didn't speak the same language, so we would sing, but that was the idea behind it. We were also doing about 3 to 4 days per country, and we didn't go home at all in between. All we had was just carry-on luggage, 9 months straight. My clothes probably didn't smell too hot at the end of it, but Yeah, I mean, we didn't even go out with the expectation of even setting a Guinness World Record. We were on country 78 and we realized that the Guinness World Records office was there. So it was my dad's idea actually, because it was a whole family it's a whole family ordeal. He decided, he was like, "Oh, like let's find the offices and walk in." And so we ended up walking in. At first security was like, "No, you can't go up. What are you talking about?" And so then I sang a couple anthems for them. They were like, "Oh, okay, I see what's going on here." And then a couple months later, they ended up certifying the record. So it wasn't even, we didn't go out with the intention of getting the record. It kind of just happened organically. And I feel like if any more records were to happen, I would want it to be the same.
So if you weren't starting out wanting to break the world record, then how did this idea even come up?
So the idea came up because I read this book by the Kielburger brothers and Shelley Page, and it was about how kids were doing things to help other kids around the world. And I had visited the SOS Children's Village in Vancouver, Canada, which is where I grew up. And I met all of these kids, and they were all foster kids. They were all orphaned and abandoned. And I saw what the charity did, and it was so incredible. And at the time, I really had a passion for singing ever since I was really young. And I was doing these talent competitions, and it was just, it felt so meaningless. And I was like, well, if I want to pursue this, I want to be able to use what I love, like the art form that I prefer, to actually make a difference and to actually do something with substance. And I've always been really super passionate about social justice and public speaking. And so it was kind of just the perfect outlet. Our goal was to raise $1 million for SOS Children's Villages. And we definitely did through media coverage and just everything combined. It was once in a lifetime experience for sure.
So did you actually get to see much of the countries that you went to?
Yeah, so we got a really authentic experience of every country, because when we were being hosted in these SOS villages, they would want to cook us the local food. They would want to sometimes give us a little tour of whatever town we were in. So I feel like, we weren't just in the touristy spots. We weren't in all-inclusive resorts. We were really getting a chance to see how people really live in all of these places. And so I feel like we honestly got to see more of the countries than we would have otherwise.
Doing everything that you've done with your career so far at 19, correct? That feels like it's not a normal life. So what do you do, Capri, to stay grounded?
Well, I definitely have to credit my family for that. We're always making fun of each other, and they always drag me down to earth, in the best way possible. But I feel like really being close with them. I work very closely with my mom. She's that we do everything together. We're such a team, and it's so incredible, because it's like, I don't know, I feel like if you have a good family, I'm still friends with the people I was friends with back when I lived in Vancouver. And so it's just, I feel like surrounding yourself with the right people is really the key to staying sane in this crazy world.
Well, like Wallace just said, you've achieved so much. So what's that one thing that's still right at the top of your bucket list?
My biggest dream / goal is to do an arena tour. And so that's kind of, it's definitely going to take a while to build up to that point, but that's my biggest goal, and hopefully one day.
Definitely. Well, thanks for allowing us to get some of the backstory about you and your music, and hopefully looking forward into the future. If you do get that arena tour, we get front row, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Just saying.
And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Capri. Take care.
You too.